Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking inward at something we all experience, maybe don't really get. You know those tiny automatic reactions? Like, you flinch when a door slams, or that weird knot in your stomach when someone in charge, starts talking.
Right. Or finding you just can't get the words out, even when you know exactly what you want to say.
Exactly. And we tend to just brush them off, right? Call them nerves, anxiety, just little glitches.
But maybe we should pause before labeling them like that. What if those little flinches, those freezes?
Yeah.
What if they aren't glitches at all?
Okay.
What if they're actually fragments of a past that, well, never really went away? We kind of operate under this illusion, don't we?
What illusion is that?
That time is this neat straight line, that the past is, filed away, done with, archived. And the present is this clean, fresh space for us to choose in.
Okay, so let's unpack that. If the past isn't just memory and it's not really filed away,
Okay.
what is it doing then?
Well, that's what we want to dig into today, this idea that the past doesn't actually go anywhere.
Right.
Instead, it sort of becomes the invisible structure, the scaffolding of how we see things right now.
The structure of perception itself.
Precisely. And to really grasp that, we need to look at it through the lens of Gestalt psychology.
Okay. Where do we start with that connection?
We have to start with the body, with the nervous system, because that's what holds the field, you see.
Holds the field.
Yeah. The nervous system doesn't store the past like a photo album you flip through. It embeds it.
It's embedded. How's that different from just storing a memory? Can you clarify that?
Sure. Think about walking through a forest. Same path, every day for years.
Okay.
You don't consciously think, okay, route coming up here, slight slope there, but your body knows. Your feet just know the way. Your muscles tense slightly before that tricky route you tripped on last fall.
Ah, right. Like muscle memory, but deeper.
Exactly. It's not you remembering the stumble. It's your body being ready for it. It's your biology, your neurology, fused with your actual lived experience. Phenomenology, you could say.
So, less a story about the past, more like a physical blueprint for how to be right now, like a default setting.
That's a great way to put it, a default setting. And that setting is structure. Gestalt psychology's core idea is that we don't just passively receive reality like a camera.
We organize it.
We actively organize it into meaningful wholes. We see a face, not just pixels, right? And the most powerful organizer, it's that embedded past, not the specific events, the stories.
But the structure it created.
Yes, the patterns. Patterns of expectation, how we react by default and critically. Patterns of what we pay attention to.
It's interesting how this echoes some deeper philosophical ideas, thinking about structures of perception. Makes me think of Nietzsche. Didn't he talk about how our view of the present is shaped by silent victories and defeats from the past?
Absolutely. The interpretation is never neutral, is it? Think about those silent victories.
Yeah.
A kid learns that being really quiet, almost invisible, keeps him safe from conflict. That's a victory, a survival structure.
Yeah.
Fast forward, they're an adult in a perfectly safe place, but that structure, it's still running the show, affecting their posture, their voice.
Their whole way of being.
Right. Their natural attitude, as Husserl called it, that unquestioned way we see the world. It isn't some universal default. It's deeply personal, forged in those early experiences, humiliations maybe, or adaptations needed to get by. And that framework operates silently, choosing what we even notice now.
Okay, but let me push back a bit here. If this past structure is so powerful, so defining, how do we ever see anything new? How do we escape just repeating things? It sounds a little deterministic.
It can feel that way. That's why I like the metaphor of gravity.
Gravity.
Yeah. You don't see gravity, but it dictates everything. Your path, how much effort it takes to move, where you land.
Right.
Trying to just rise above your past often means you're still fighting its invisible pull. That pull is in your posture, how you orient yourself, what your perception defaults to. The key isn't to fight it directly, but to become aware of the field itself, the gravity field.
Okay, the field. That brings us to a really core Gestalt idea, doesn't it? Figure and ground. This feels important for understanding that field.
It's fundamental. Figure and ground describe how perception works moment to moment. Something always emerges as the figure, the thing you're focused on.
The main event.
Right. And everything else fades into the ground, the context. But here's the crucial bit, the part we often miss. What emerges as figure isn't random.
It's selected.
It's selected by the history embedded in the ground. The ground is that field of possibility, shaped by that past gravity, and it determines what gets to pop into focus.
Okay, let's make that concrete. You mentioned the example of a child who is always interrupted. How does figure ground play out there later in life?
Right. So imagine that child is now an adult, very competent, in a meeting maybe, has a great idea.
Yeah.
But just as they go to speak, throat tightens, feel a bit dizzy maybe, and they just stay silent. Later, they might think, oh, I'm just bad at speaking up.
But it's not about skill.
From a Gestalt view, not primarily. Their perceptual field was shaped early on by interruption. Survival meant your voice is unsafe, retreat. So their voice was structurally forced into the background. It never got to be the figure.
Wow. So the past isn't just a memory haunting them.
No, it's actively, invisibly organizing their present experience to keep them safe according to that old, outdated blueprint.
And the really tough part is that adult is trying to be present, trying to contribute, but their system is filtering out the current safety because of the old danger signal.
Exactly. The old structure prioritizes perceived survival over current opportunity. It's automatic.
Let's take another scenario. You walk into a party, it's lively, people are laughing, music's playing, mostly positive vibes.
Okay.
But your eyes immediately lock onto the one person across the room who looks away or seems disengaged. All the positive stuff becomes background noise. And that one averted gaze is suddenly the main figure. Why does that happen so fast?
Again, it's history selecting the figure. Maybe for that person, as a child, being unseen or ignored meant something really threatening. Abandonment, maybe, or not getting needs met.
So their system is primed for that.
Their perceptual field, the ground got tuned like a radio to pick up signals of absence, rejection, inattention. So that averted gaze jumps out as figure because the underlying structure, the ground, is shaped by that early neglect. The field brings forward what it's learned to expect.
And that helps explain why just telling someone or telling yourself, oh, just let it go or move on, why that advice often feels so useless.
Completely useless, because you can't just decide to ignore a fundamental organizing principle of your perception.
You can't just wish away the structure.
No. And this leads us right to another key Gestalt concept, unfinished gestalts. Think of a gestalt starting as a need could be for safety, connection, recognition, anything. It seeks completion, resolution.
Okay.
But if that need gets blocked, ignored, distorted somehow, the energy, the tension doesn't just vanish, it gets stuck, it freezes.
An unfinished gestalt.
Yes. And that frozen tension then starts organizing the perceptual field from behind the scenes. It's basically waiting, unconsciously, for a chance to finally complete its pattern.
So that's the engine behind why we repeat patterns, why we end up in similar situations, relationships, jobs that feel familiar, even if they're painful. It's this drive to finish something old.
It's a huge part of it. And there's a concept called isomorphism that helps explain how this happens. It sounds a bit technical, but
Try us.
it basically describes a structural match. The patterns inside you, your neural pathways, your psychophysical state, tend to mirror the patterns you perceive or create in the outside world.
So inner world matches outer world.
In terms of structure, yes. We're not just passively drawn to familiar scenarios. Our inner structure actively shapes the field so that it corresponds to our internal pattern.
That sounds a little like fate. Or just bad luck? How is that manageable if it's about matching structures?
It's manageable because it is structural, not fate. Think of it this way. The psyche, wanting to close that old frozen gestalt, arranges reality, or at least it selects parts of reality, to give itself another shot at completion.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Someone whose core unfinished gestalt is something like, I have to perform, achieve, be perfect, then I'll be loved.
Okay, a common one?
Very. Now, that person isn't likely to just fall for anyone. They might repeatedly find themselves drawn to partners who are distant, critical, or somehow unavailable.
Why? That sounds counterintuitive.
Because that dynamic recreates the necessary conditions. It sets up the isomorphic pattern. The distance or criticism provides the tension, the need to perform for love. The psyche is essentially saying, okay, here we go again. This time, maybe I can get it right. This time, I can finally earn the love and close this loop.
They're not weak or making bad choices necessarily.
No, they are structurally organized to repeat the pattern, seeking resolution. It's incredibly powerful.
That really highlights the silent tragedy of living unexamined, doesn't it? We think we're here now, making free choices. But often we're walking through these ghost landscapes, reacting to invisible tracks laid down years ago, just trying to finish a pattern we don't even know is running.
Exactly. And that's why the way forward in Gestalt isn't just about talking about the past, analyzing the trauma intellectually. It's about perceptual reorganization.
Reorganization, how?
Think about those optical illusions, like the Rubin vase, the black and white image.
Yeah, the one that's either two faces or a vase.
Right. Nothing on the page changes. Same ink. But suddenly, internally, the figure-ground relationship flips. What was ground, the faces, becomes figure, and the figure vase becomes ground.
I see. That flip is the insight.
That flip is the insight. Once you truly perceive the structure of your own anxiety or your pattern, once you see the frozen gestalt operating it, loses its automatic grip.
Yep.
Its compulsory power fades. You can't unsee the faces once you've seen them.
Okay, so how do we make this awareness practical? When we feel that flinch, that tightness, that freeze, what do we actually do with this understanding?
We shift from why to what. Instead of the often fruitless, why am I feeling this way? We ask questions focused on the immediate perceptual field.
Like what?
3 key questions. 1, what figure is emerging for me right now? Is it a sense of threat? Failure, being ignored, name the figure.
Okay.
2, what ground is this figure rising from? What's the context I'm currently not noticing? The safety, the actual present reality.
Right.
And 3, what old unfinished gestalt might be seeking resolution here? What pattern is trying to complete itself? By just perceiving the structure, you shift from being the pattern to being the observer of the pattern.
That feels like a really radical truth. It changes how we even think about identity. The past isn't something we carry around like baggage.
Exactly. You don't carry it. You live in the field.
Yeah.
And that field contains the past as its structure.
So, I'm not my past.
You are not your past. You are the field in which the past arises. And the moment you bring clear, non-judgmental awareness to that field, when you illuminate its structure, you introduce a new element, a new force.
The awareness itself.
Yes. And the field, always seeking balance, seeking organization, starts to reorganize itself around that new data point, your conscious presence. Awareness in Gestalt isn't passive observation. Awareness is the agent of change.
So the aim isn't necessarily about healing or fixing some past wound in the traditional sense. It's more about structural reorganization.
That's it. We're not trying to demolish the old survival architecture. We're transmuting it, moving it from hidden compulsive driver to acknowledged informative structure.
Which shifts us from compulsion
to choice. We change the underlying climate of our perception.
And if you change the climate,
you change all the weather patterns that follow. Your reactions, your choices, your experiences.
Let's circle back then to that initial feeling, that tension in the body. The final challenge for anyone listening might be this. Don't just look for the memory of the child or the past event. Look for the structure that child built to cope. Where does the tension live? Right now. In your jaw, your shoulders. Where's that hesitation, that pause in your breath? That's the map.
Yes. And here's a final thought to perhaps sit with. If the past lives not in some dusty archive of memory, but in the immediate way your attention works, what it selects as figure, what it pushes to ground. And if attention can be retrained, reorganized, then the question becomes, what's the smallest, maybe most invisible structure you can notice can illuminate in your own perception today, right now, or the next time you feel that little jolt? Because the moment you become aware of the structure, you've already started reshaping the field. You've begun reshaping your immediate future. Awareness isn't just the first step, it is the transformation starting to happen.